This is the evening news for Thursday, April 3, 2014. I'm Michael Young. Thanks for joining us. Making the headlines tonight, Jaipal Sharma resigns amidst controversy. Cuban medical scholarships to be reduced this year. Berbice Chambers satisfied with the fight against smuggling. Rohi says Barrett Jagdeo will have the last laugh. Lance Hines is elected as the new president of the GCCI. And police still probing taxi drivers' debt. Now for the news in detail. A Partnership for National Unity's Jaipal Sharma resigned today from the National Assembly shortly after the ban was lifted from Education Minister Priya Manichan, allowing her to speak. But from all indications, his resignation had more to it than the Manichan issue. Details from Swatlana Marshall.
A heckle made by Education Minister Priya Manichan has now led to the resignation of APNU Member of Parliament Jaipal Sharma. Sharma submitted his resignation to the Speaker of the National Assembly's secretary today at 11 hours before the ban was lifted from the Education Minister. This new development has evolved from a presentation made by APNU Valda Lawrence. It was while Lawrence was calling for a crackdown on rapists and pedophiles that Manichan heckled Ask Your Member APNU Sharma. After refusing to apologize initially, the Education Minister offered an apology to the House on Wednesday, but clearly this was not enough for Sharma, who had this to say.
She was bold enough to go to Parliament yesterday, offer an apology, and not say she's going to address the issue which the Speaker her objection was in the first place. You have to apologize to the MP Jaipal Sharma. He didn't say apologize to the Assembly, he didn't say apologize to Valda Lawrence, but she went and do that. And apparently, I don't know if she said these words in Parliament, but in the Wave article, she did say that she wouldn't apologize to the APU member Jaipal Sharma because of some rape and pedophile and so it's something like, if I is a rapist, I'm a pedophile, it's something like that.
Sharma told the Evening News that he would no longer be a part of the circus where the People's Progressive Party Civic behaves unjustly. Sharma said he had informed the leader of the opposition, David Granger, before submitting his resignation. He believes that APNU has sufficient time to replace him with someone more competent.
As the Speaker pointed out to Mrs. Priya Manichan, this is an inappropriate form of behavior. And as a matter of fact, even the form of apology, I think some people would find unsatisfactory because she didn't actually say that she apologized. To say that if you hurt somebody, you're sorry is different. There are rules. The rules are intended to allow responsible debate. If one person is going to be subject to vicious comments from others, then you open the whole forum to disreputable behavior, and people can just be cussing out each other. That is the purpose of the rules, to allow debate, but allow it to take place within a reasoned and mature environment. And I hope that the Speaker will use his powers to ensure that we don't get to the point that we did. But he shouldn't have needed to told Priya, because Priya is a qualified lawyer. She's a qualified lawyer and she's no fool.
Sir, okay? But his resignation comes at a time, at a critical time, I must say.
Well, I don't know whether that resignation will sign. Clearly he's unhappy, but what I'm saying is that you need to give that time to work itself out.
He said too, based on his analysis of the 2014 budget, this year there will be a snap elections, and by no means he wants the opposition to lose votes over allegations against his father, C.N. Sharma, that are yet to be proven. But from all indication, his other APNU colleagues are not in support of his resignation. Basil Williams and Carl Greenwich were seen outside of Parliament talking to him shortly after his resignation. They believe that the matter will be resolved soon.
Acting Police Commissioner Silal Pasod on Wednesday stated that the police have intensified their investigations into the murder of taxi driver Rupchand Darsan, who was killed execution-style over the weekend. He said that the police are looking at the possible leads that would have left the killers wanting to harm the young man, and as such their investigations have deepened into the matter to determine the motive of the killing. To date, Pasod added that no one was arrested for the killing. A post-mortem performed recently on the dead man revealed revealed that he died from a single gunshot wound to his head. As the body of Darsan was cremated on Wednesday, his family members remained hopeful that his killers will be brought to justice. Darsan was discovered with a single gunshot to his head in his car around 0030 hours at Strasfair Railway Embankment, East Coast, Demerara. There will be a reduction in scholarships offered under the Government of Guyana Cuba Scholarship Program this year. Gabriela Patram has details in this report.
Health Minister Dr. Barry Ramsaran says the country's health sector is now saturated with medical doctors, and a decision has been taken to reduce the number of scholarships available under the Guyana-Cuban Agreement. This number of scholarships will be cut from about 500 to about 250, this newscast understands.
Most likely we will not be able to sustain that number of students. We don't need it. We need now to consolidate. We need now to start training these graduate doctors, the almost 300-400 graduate doctors that we have, to become specialists.
He further stated that his ministry is working with the Foreign Affairs Ministry and Public Service Commission with Cuban cooperation to finalize this year's agreement. In 2013, approximately 500 Guyanese Cuban-trained doctors returned home to serve. A majority of those doctors were dispatched to public health centers and hospitals across the country. For the Evening News, I'm Gabriela Patram.
Thanks, Gabriela. Shadow Health Minister of a Partnership for National Unity, Dr. George Norton, said the absence of a national ambulance service and emergency medical technicians are affecting the primary health care system. Leroy Bedlow reports.
George Norton, who opened the national budget debates on day 3, told the House that Guyanese living in the hinterland regions may very well have to remain contented with transporting patients on ATV as it is currently being done. He said that it was a shame that they are nothing benefiting from ambulance service and other critical emergency services, even in the areas where the terrain allows for this.
Villages like Bamboo Creek are without the sentences of an ATV, and all that is needed is a part to repair the broken one they have that the CHW claims that he can fix should he get the part. At Bartica, there is neither ambulance nor ATV.
Dr. Norton explained that out of the 32 ambulances in Guyana, none was earmarked for the hinterland regions except for a used one that was given to residents of Kokwani.
The question must be asked, why a second-hand ambulance and why to Kokwani? Is this a case of George Orwell's Animal Farm, where all animals are equal but some animals are more equal than others?
The situation in Bartica, Norton said, is no different. He said that he hopes the $117 million that have been allocated for the purchase of 12 new ambulances this year would allow at least one to be sent to the hinterland. Norton also bashed the high cost of medical evacuation, which according to him have been as a result of the dysfunctional community health centers. In 2011, Norton reported over $25 million was spent to evacuate medical emergencies from the hinterland. These areas have neither a doctor nor medics. Leroy Bedler reporting for the Evening News.
Ryan Haley, 22 of Durban Street Lodge, Georgetown, and 21-year-old Kester Williams appeared in the Georgetown Magistrates Court today before Magistrate Geeta Chandan Edmund charged for unlawful assault. Both defendants pleaded not guilty to the charges read to them. It is alleged that on March 31 at Durban Street Lodge, Georgetown, Haley unlawfully assaulted Williams. It is also alleged that Haley used threatening behavior towards the virtual complainant Williams. Additionally, it is also alleged that the virtual complainant Williams on March 31 unlawfully assaulted Haley so as to cause him bodily harm. Defense counsel Paul Fongafat told the court that it was a misunderstanding between the two parties. The defendant and the virtual complainant both decided not to proceed with the matter in court. The case was then dismissed by the magistrate. You tune to the Evening News. More news after these messages. Welcome back. You're tuned to the Evening News. People's Progressive Party Civic General Secretary Clement Rohi has urged critics of former President Barry Jagdeo to be on the lookout, hinting that he will have the last laugh when he breaks his silence on the attacks and allegations that have been made by the opposition and its media agents. Rohi has also strongly maintained that the party stands firmly in support of the former president and his successor, President Donald Ramotar, as he condemned attempts being made by external forces to create factionalism and division within the ruling party's camp. He said that the party remains proud of the accomplishments made under Jagdeo's tenure, saying that the track record of the PPP is sound and self-explanatory. Rohi said there is little or no criticism of the opposition because the aim is to weaken the ruling party, but this will not occur. President Donald Ramotar has given the long-awaited response to the Working People's Alliance. Here is Alexis Rodney with details.
The two-page letter dated April 1, 2014, which was signed by the head of state, was addressed to the party's chairman, Dr. Rupert Roopnarine, and executive member, Dr. Clive Thomas. The head of state told the executives that it was never his intention to delay or ignore responding to their concerns. Ramotar reminded the WPA that the decision to establish the commission was as a result of a request made by Dr. Rodney's wife, Patricia. He explained that Dr. Roger Luncheon and the Attorney General Anil Nandlal were tasked with consulting the Rodney family and drafting the terms of reference. The president stated that it was the family's desire not to include the political parties in the drafting of these terms of reference. President Ramotar expressed the view that all of the members of the WPA will cooperate with the inquiry. For the Evening News, I'm Alexis Rodney.
Just a few days after Town Clerk Carol Soba announced that the council will be cracking down on high-rise buildings that do not have geotechnical reports, Chief Executive Officer of Camex Limited, Terence Campbell, today came to the defense of the leaning Camex complex that is being constructed at Mandela Avenue. Campbell related that he had submitted the requisite documents for the building before the construction works began. He maintained that both the Central Housing and Planning Authority and the City Council had approved the building plans. The CEO went on to indicate that if a request for a geotechnical report was made, he would have submitted it to the council before the construction began, noting that the idea of geotechnical reports is welcomed by him. President of the Berbice Chambers of Commerce, Mark Roopnarine, says he is satisfied with the work being done by the police and the anti-smuggling unit as the fight against smuggling intensifies in the ancient county. Details in this report.
Just a few months after an anti-smuggling unit was established in Berbice, President of the Berbice Chamber of Commerce, Mark Roopnarine, says that while more can be done to fight smuggling, police are deserving of praise for the gains made.
It is a constant concern of the chamber when it comes to security of the business, because the bottom line is once people are secure, once businesses are secure, they will flourish. New business will be developed. What we have done, we realize that yes, there is a challenge. It is an issue, but we also realize that as any economy or any region develops economically, crime will grow. We've seen that in the past, and we can use other societies, to compare that to. But that is not an excuse for crime to continue.
The president of the chamber also related that communication between businesses and the police officers are improving.
We have been working with the Guyana Police Force, through building relationship, through representations. We've had constant meetings with the hierarchy of the division here to really address some of the businesses concerned, some specific and some in general.
Okay.
And what has happened is that we've always said to our businesses that, there is so much you can do to fight crime, and it must be on a two-pronged approach. It must be from a personal approach, that is from the businessman side as well, as his business, as well as it must be from government side.
He also maintained that contrary to reports, businessmen and police officers are not afraid to take action, but rather lack the resources to pursue the offenders in such cases.
Local Government and Regional Development Minister Norman Whitaker has warned the opposition of some of the perceived consequences that would follow were they to cut the 2014 national budget. Here are details in this report.
I ask the opposition to do nothing to derail the plans for development that we have. Don't do that. Something that works, don't try to fix it. You're not good at that. This 2014 budget will bring positive benefits for all of that, and that includes you, Honorable Member Mr. Greenwich. You also will benefit. This budget contains a menu of measures to create a better Guyana for all Guyanese. Do nothing to impede the progress of this nation. The Guyanese people will not forgive you. History will not absolve you.
That was the local government minister Norman Whitaker in the National Assembly last evening, as he warned the opposition of the severe consequences that could follow if they were to cut the $220 billion national budget. Not even the Georgetown City Council was exempted from the wrath of Whitaker, as he noted that there were concerns about accountability related to some of the decisions being made at the entity.
The council spent a total of $429 million on solid waste. 420. It's the council. The council is the corporate body. I'm talking about the council. This is 2012. And Mr. Speaker, they did worse. They did worse than this in 2013. The point is, they are not collecting what they should be collecting. And secondly, whatever they collect is not being used to provide the core services that the citizens of this country ask for. Okay? And you want us to put the $1 billion in the hands of the council? Sorry, sorry, sorry. That will not happen.
Minister Whitaker related that for the year 2013, some $65 million was distributed in subvention to the varying municipalities around the country, with Georgetown receiving the most monies in subvention when compared to the rest, which amounted to a total of $20 million. He related that sadly this money was principally used for the acquisition of 2 10-ton DAF trucks and 1 skid steer.
You're watching the Evening News. Welcome back. This is the Evening News. The National Assembly was transformed into an arena of satire yesterday when People's Progressive Party Civic Member of Parliament Colonel Damon took to the floor to speak of development in Region 2. Details in this Alexis Rodney report.
Damon blasted the opposition for its unwillingness to support the 2014 national budget, which he described as the budget Guyanese have been waiting for.
In Region 2, more small businesses would benefit greatly from this budget, and new ones would come on stream, which would create employment. Mr. Speaker, if we proceed in any other way to develop our country as proposed by that side of this honorable house, it spells doom for this beautiful land of my birth.
He boasted of the massive production by rice farmers in Region 2, where more than 1 million bags of paddy are harvested each crop. The Region 2 representative said he hopes that the opposition will not use its cutting tool to slash any amount of money being allocated to the region for the further expansion of the industry. He praised Minister of Housing and Water Irfan Ali for the great work his ministry has been doing to aid in the rapid development of the housing sector there.
The residents of Region 2 are very proud to have 4 lights along the public road. Before, it was a distant dream under the PNC. Mr. Speaker, from 2012 to 2014, more auto dealers have opened their auto shops, selling all models of vehicles. This is proof that the 5% growth Guyana achieved, we as the Caribbeans are part and parcel of it. Honorable Minister of Finance, we heard you and we responded so that Guyana to continue to achieve its growth.
He also paid homage to the Minister of Education, Priya Manikchan, for remembering the students in the region who, according to him, have been exceptional in their performance at all the examinations.
Mr. Speaker, these are some of the arrangements MPs on that side of the House could do to help promote their regions instead of coming to Parliament crying foul. Hats off to you, Honorable Minister of Education. Region 2 would remain very competitive.
For the evening news, Alexis Rodney.
The Alliance for Change has applauded strides made in the Guyana tourism sector, but has stated that the government could have done more in this year's budget for the sector and the people in it. Details from Gabriela Patram.
Alliance for Change AFC Member of Parliament Catherine Yu says there is more that the government and the tourism minister can do for the tourism sector. She stated that her association in the tourism sector over the last 20 years has caused her to become alert of the endless possibilities the sector holds for transforming Guyana by moving into non-traditional revenue streams that can boost the economy. In her examination of the budget, she highlighted where the government of Guyana could have done better to put more money into the pockets of ordinary Guyanese.
It starts with the organization of the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce itself. How could the sector, with all this potential, be lumped with other major sectors like industry and commerce? How can we expect the international marketplace to take us seriously when the initiatives to move this sector forward have been put on the back burner for decades? The need for an autonomous Ministry of Tourism is overwhelming.
Hughes continued by highlighting that in several Caribbean tourism destinations and elsewhere, governments have allowed the tourism and hospitality sector to pay a lower rate of VAT than the standard rate.
In the Bahamas, the standard rate for VAT is 15%, but in their tourism sector, it's 10%. In Barbados, the rate is 17.5% and is reduced in their sector to 7.5%. Similarly, in Dominica, the rate is 15% but reduced to 10% for the tourism and hospitality sector. In Jamaica, they go even further. The rate is 16.5%, but they have actually created a special rate of 10% VAT for the tourism and hospitality sector, plus an accommodation room tax, which is dependent on the number of rooms a particular establishment has. The private sector in Guyana lobbied hard for such a tiered approach, long before the implementation of VAT. Today, the tourism industry is still relatively new and an emerging industry in terms of growth, and is still heavily taxed like so many other sectors.
The AFC member continued in her presentation and applauded the government for the establishment of the hospitality school and the recent listings of Guyana by BBC as one of the top 20 destinations to visit in 2014. For the evening news, I'm Gabriela Patram.
Thanks, Gabriela. Agriculture Minister Dr. Leslie Ramsamy has defended the $500 million allocations to the rice sector, saying that the opposition's criticism of the move is unfounded. A Partnership for National Unity Member of Parliament, Keith Scott, in his budget presentation, had described the allocation as unnecessary handout. Minister Ramsamy in the release stated that though the rice sector has been successful in recent years, it still deserves the support of the government like any other sector. He noted that the People's Progressive Party Civic will stand with the rice farmers and will continue to build a strong rice industry. This is the evening news. More news after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're tuned to the evening news. The establishment of an Institute for the Creative Arts has been placed high on the agenda for 2014, Culture, Youth and Sport Minister Dr. Frank Anthony told the National Assembly on Monday. Details from Svetlana Marshall.
The initiation of a national award scheme, new courses in fashion design and photography are among initiatives top on the agenda for 2014. But before the curtains close in, the Culture, Youth and Sport Ministry will see the establishment of an Institute of the Creative Arts. This is according to Subject Minister Dr. Frank Anthony, who was at the time disclosing his ambitious plans for 2014 that will capitalize on the potentials of Guyana's youthful population. The new courses in fashion design and photography will be weaved into the curriculum of the E.R. Burroughs School, giving interest groups the opportunity to be certified in these two areas. Additionally, the second visual arts competition and exhibition under the patronage of President Donald Ramotar will unfold in November.
We also continue with the National Drama Festival, which has now become a cultural staple to drama development in Guyana. And last year, there were 43 plays that were entered into the festival, 42 which were specially written for the festival. We are pleased with the opportunities that have been offered to our dramatists by the festival. And last year, Mr. Speaker, was not without its challenges at the National Cultural Center. And as you would know, the air conditioning system of the Cultural Center, which is about 3 decades old, finally collapsed. And we need to replace this system. And one of the things that we have done in this year's budget is that we have allocated close to $55 million to replace the system. In addition, we will be spending substantial sums of money to improve the sound and lighting at the National Cultural Center. In the area of film,
by September 2014, Minister Anthony said the 4 culture and art institutes will be merged into an Institute of the Creative Arts. He explained that the programs would be easy to manage. In addition to the cultural and artistic programs, the ministry will continue to work with youths, equipping them with the requisite skills and knowledge for the current world of work.
Mr. Speaker, in addition to these general investments, there are more youth-specific investments under the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport, the Ministry of Labor and Human Services, and the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs. These include the programs such as the National Training Program for Youth Employment, the Apprenticeship Program, the Board of Industrial Training Program, and the Youth Entrepreneurship and Apprenticeship Program in the hinterland. Together, these programs are intended to reach out to every young person who needs assistance as they transition to the world of work.
Government in this year's budget made a budgetary allocation of $854.5 million for the execution of capital projects within the sector. The Culture Minister believes that this allocation signals the ruling party's continued commitment to the development of young people and the sustainability of culture in Guyana.
Health Minister Dr. Berry Ramsaran has refuted claims in certain sections of the media that no works were done on health centers in 2013. More details from Gabriela Patram.
Health Minister Dr. Berry Ramsaran says the country's health sector is now saturated with medical doctors, and a decision has been taken to reduce the number of scholarships available under the Guyana-Cuban Agreement. This number of scholarships will be cut from about 500 to about 250, this newscast understands.
Most likely we will not be able to sustain that number of students. We don't need it. We need now to consolidate. We need now to start training these graduate doctors, the almost 300-400 graduate doctors that we have, to become specialists.
He further stated that his ministry is working with the Foreign Affairs Ministry and Public Service Commission with Cuban cooperation to finalize this year's agreement. In 2013, approximately 500 Guyanese Cuban-trained doctors returned home to serve. A majority of those doctors were dispatched to public health centers and hospitals across the country. For the Evening News, I'm Gabriela Patram.
A Partnership for National Unity Member of Parliament Dawn Hastings, during her 2014 budget presentation, has said that hinterland youths are being neglected by the government. More details in this report.
The party's Region 7 representative, Dawn Hastings, reminded the National Assembly that it is the hinterland that brought people to Guyana in search of El Dorado, and to date it is the hinterland that continues to bring people through tourism. Hastings pointed out that over the years, hinterland students continue to suffer as they are denied equal access to education, which is reflected in their performance at the National Grade 6 assessment. The parliamentarian said that she had hoped this would have been addressed in the budget 2014, but no provisions were made. She also spoke of the lack of job opportunities for youth in the hinterland.
Mr. Speaker, one of the cries is that there are still limited job opportunities for our young people. And I believe, Mr. Speaker, that it is time for the youths to have access to technical or vocational centers in Regions 1, 7, and 8, whereby they can be empowered with appropriate skills, Mr. Speaker, to contribute meaningfully to the communities in which they live. What is happening, however, is that youths from Bartica, youths from as far as Chinawing, they have to travel all the way to Georgetown or to Essequibo to acquire a trade or a skill at a very high cost of which their parents could hardly afford. Mr. Speaker, majority of the children who leave the Warramadang Secondary School return home year after year, having been successful at one subject or none in most cases, and having no second chance to equip themselves with technical or vocational skills, find themselves in the gold and diamond fields at a very tender age.
Meanwhile, the People's Progressive Party Member of Parliament, Bishop Juan Edgel, in rebuttal said that the government has done a lot over the years to see the development of all Guyana's citizens, including its youths, but the government alone cannot accomplish everything.
As a responsible government, we make policy and allocate resources across all sectors to meet the national objectives. But government policy and budgetary allocations alone will not take us to the desired destination. Of equal importance are the efforts of the teacher who ensures that he or she is in the classroom on time and delivers the right material to ensure a well-educated child. The efforts of the doctor and the nurse who are attentive to the standards of quality care and will meet or exceed the patient's expectation. The efforts of the public servant who is focused on results and improving the way we deliver services across government. The efforts of the employee who goes the extra mile to be productive at work, recognizing as he should that the profitability of his employer will determine the security of his job. The efforts of the citizens who take care not to litter, but instead to maintain his or her surroundings.
For the evening news, I'm Gomati Gangadin.
You're tuned to the evening news. Join us on the other side of the break for more news. You're watching TVG Channel 28 and this is the evening news. Lance Hines from the Brain Street Group is the new president of the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry. The chamber has made the announcement today following its statutory meeting yesterday. Also elected to serve as the senior vice president is Vishnu Durga of the Durga Business Enterprises and Padma Prasad, who was also elected as the junior vice president of the chamber. Nicholas Boyer is the new secretary and Eon Grant the new treasurer. The United Nations, in collaboration with the Parliament Office, the Speaker of the National Assembly and several politicians, today launched its child art competition. Details in this report.
Launched under the theme Governance, the competition aims to afford every child an opportunity to express their thoughts via various sub-themes on current issues in Guyana which they believe are affecting them and other children alike. Speaking at the launch, The United Nations Children's Fund resident coordinator in Guyana, Marian Flack, stated that every child in Guyana will be able to enter the competition, including the differently able, residents at the orphanages, and residents at the New Opportunity Corps. Lecturer at the University of Guyana in Social Humanities faculty, Philbert Gajadar, further outlined the competition.
This competition and exhibition is not only designed to produce what we all call nice works, but rather it is aimed at understanding of how cognitive development relates to creative artistic expression, as well as to understand and appreciate what children are communicating through their art, and to provide answers to all their concerns.
Speaker of the National Assembly, Raphael Tretman, in brief remarks, stated that the Parliament office will be giving its full support to the initiative and will be seeking to support plans for the development of children in Guyana. The competition will cater for children between the ages of 4 to 18. The entries will be judged regionally, with the top entries being sent to Georgetown, after which the final judging will take place. Those receiving the top spots will be framed and placed in the Parliament buildings for viewing. For the Evening News, Gomati Gangadin.
Ramesh Persaud, 42 years old, of Lot 159 Grove Squatting area, pleaded not guilty to receiving stolen property today in the Georgetown Magistrates Court before Magistrate Faith Magusti. It is alleged that on March 24 at Grove Public Road, East Bank, Demerara, the defendant received one wheelbarrow valued $18,000, property of Mr. Kellewan, knowing fully that it was stolen property. The prosecution had no objections to bail due to the man's asthmatic condition. Bail was granted in the sum of $30,000. The defendant is expected to make another court appearance on May 2 at the Providence Magistrates Court. Your sport news is next. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. It's now time for a look at what's happening in the world of sport. But first, there are headlines. Limacol CPL teams finalized for the 2014 tournament. Double blow for West Indies cricketers at World T20. And schools pumped up ahead of Milo football final. Our sportscast is brought to you with the kind compliments of Macor.
We believe that everything worth building should be built just once. But that is why we build on culture, on trust, on integrity. We exist to do more, better, faster, safer. Your success depends on the foundation it's built on. Everything we do is meant to move you forward. Macor, let's build Guyana together.
Welcome back. It's now time for the news in detail, of course, in sport. A plethora of international and regional T20 stars have been selected to comprise the 6 franchises that will compete in the second Limacol Caribbean Premier League set to start in July. With a blend of youth, experience and firepower, last year's runner-up, the Ghana Amazon Warriors, are sure to start as one of the favorites to lift the title in August. Let's take a look at the composition of the team after the draft earlier today at Chris Gale's Triple Century Bar in Jamaica.
The Antigua Hawksbills is made up of Marlon Samuels, Sheldon Cotterell, David Hussey, Tesaro Pereira, Carlos Braffett, Kieran Powell, Devon Thomas, Ben Laughlin, Orlando Peters, Danza Hyatt, Miguel Cummins, Gavin Tong, Justin Atenes, and Raheem Cornwall. The Barbados Tridents will come from Kieran Pollard, Dwayne Smith, Shakib Al-Hassan, Ravi Rampal, Jason Holder, Neil McKenzie, Riyad Emrit, Ashley Nurse, Imran Nazir, Jonathan Carter, Shane Dowridge, Raymond Reefer, Akil Hussain, and Kyle Mears. Last year's runner-up Guyana Amazon Warriors comprises Sunil Narain, Mohammad Hafiz, Lendl Simmons, Dinesh Ramdin, Martin Guptill, Krishmar Santoki, Christopher Barnwell, Veerasamy Premal, Runsford Beaton, Navin Stewart, Stephen Jacobs, Leon Johnson, Robin Backus, Corey Anderson and Trevon Griffith. Defending champions Jamaica Tallowers will bank on Chris Gale, Andre Russell, Amit Shazad, Adam Voges, Nikita Miller, Jerome Taylor, Rusty Teron, Chadwick Walton, David Bernard Jr., Andrew Richardson, Carlton Bott Jr., Jermaine Blackwood, Nkrumah Bonner and Odin Brown. The St. Lucia's Zooks' dreams of winning rest on the shoulders of Darren Sammy, Kevin Peterson, Johnson Charles, Sohail Tanvir, Andre Fletcher, Shane Shillingford, Ruller van der Merve, Gary Maturin, Kelly Lesperis, Tino Best, Mervyn Matthews, Sunil Ambris, Tonito Willett and Liam Sebastian. The members of the Trinidad and Tobago Red Steel are Dwayne Bravo, Darren Bravo, Samuel Badgere, Suleiman Ben, Kevon Cooper, Nazir Jamshed, Kevin O'Brien, Evan Lewis, Nicholas Puran, Shannon Gabriel, Fidel Edwards, Jason Mohammed, Kinar Lewis and Delon Johnson.
Sri Lanka reached the World T20 final after a thunderstorm ended their semi-final against defending champions West Indies in Mirpur. Lahiru Tiraman made 44 and Angelo Matthews 40 from 23 balls as Sri Lanka posted 160 for 6 after winning the toss. In reply, West Indies lost openers Christopher Gale and Dwayne Smith to Captain Malinga in the 5th over. Dwayne Bravo fell for 30 and after hail flooded the outfield, Sri Lanka won by 27 runs on the Duckworth-Lewis method. Here are some of the highlights from the game.
With Dwayne Smith. Smith got off the rollicking start. The first 2 balls were 10, a 6 and a 4.
That's the way you got to start it. You remember you're looking for 161, but then Gale playing away from his body, maybe incapacitated by that hit on his knee, inside edge, onto the leg stump, gone. Lasit Malinga strikes. And strikes again when he gets a very good slower ball to go right through the defense of Dwayne Smith, hitting the top of middle stump.
So at that stage, it was Lasit Malinga taking the wickets, but on came this youngster, Prasanna. He had Simmons trapped LBW, 34 for 3. He only made 4 from 8. More pressure on the West Indies. Bravo, though, who many thought should have really opened the innings today, even bat at 3. He gave them a glimmer of hope.
Yeah, I think Dwayne Bravo has got his form back, and hitting outside off stump, he really plays well. That one is scooted down to mid-wicket, and Mahela Jayawardena takes a really good catch here because he's not really played a big part, but that's a very vital catch to get Bravo out.
He made 30 from 19, and then it was all rain and hail. Bad weather. And when you get that mix, you can only have a rain delay. 80 for 4, West Indies behind by 26 runs on Duckworth-Lewis.
Darren, it must be a heartbreaking way to finish the tournament.
Yes, it is. You know, we left home with a goal to defend the title, and you know, the weather we have no control over. But yes, credit to the Sri Lankans, the way they came out and batted, and you know, again the spinners got us bogged down, and they bowled really well up front. And you know, had we known the rain was going to come, probably we could have done things differently. But again, we left ourselves a lot to do in the end. But you know, I see it as the God smiling on Sangha and Mahela. You know, the last 2, they've done so much for Sri Lanka, and probably Father the Almighty wants them to leave on a high note. But I can't fault the effort of my team. You know, we came here, we fought really hard in all the games that we played, and you know, it's disappointing, but at least we didn't get a fair chance of defending the title.
Lastly, let's start at the back end. Were you aware of any inclement weather impending when the toss went up today?
Yeah, things we are not looking for that with what was going on, but we are looking for we need to get a batsman in form in that particular time. Then I think they are in touch. They have good confidence to go there and really first innings. I think that's a better option to get the momentum. Then we have to trust our bowling part, and we can defend any total. That's the main thing.
Were you satisfied with 160?
Yeah, definitely. I think first 6 overs we got a good start. Then after that we not much doing well. But after that Angelo and Tiriman is doing really good job for us. I think then after that we got 160. Then we think it's first 6 overs very important in the West Indies innings. I think our bowlers is doing great job in the first 6 overs. That's why we are in that position.
Here's a presentation that we had to do indoors because of that spectacular storm. Now, this cricket's still to come though, and the ladies play their semi-final. That's England versus South Africa. That's 2:30 local time, and hopefully the ground will be all spick and span and ready. So that's the second semi-final. Remember, today Australia put it past the West Indies, so not a great day for the men and the women from the Caribbean. And then the men's semi-final. That's India versus South Africa. That's 1900 hours local time. Do join us for it. An unusual day here in Dhaka. It's goodbye.
That defeat capped a forgettable day for Caribbean fans as the women's team also suffered defeat, this time at the hands of Australia in the semi-final of the World T20. Opener Elise Villan top scored with 35 as Australia made a competitive 140 for 5 from their 20 overs. The Windies briefly threatened when DeAndrea Dotton 40 and Stacey Ann King 36 not out were together but fell short after Dotton was dismissed, reaching 132 for 4. England winners in 2009 meet South Africa in the second semi on Friday. The Milo Schools football competition will wrap up on Saturday with St. George's set to defend their title against a confident Lodge Secondary School unit. Both schools on Wednesday afternoon continued their training at different grounds in Georgetown and spoke to the media about their preparations for the championship game. More details in this report.
When the media visited the Tugville ground, the Lodge Secondary School boys were busy going through their drills under the watchful eyes of coach Leon Bishop. The coach said his lads are confident of lifting the title and they have been putting in the extra work to ensure they come out on top Saturday evening.
We've worked at a lot of games that they would have played, and we have some strategy. We would not like to disclose it publicly, but we have some good strategy going up against them. One of the things that we know that we have to work on with them is to get rid of the midfield play, which is very strong for them. So in that case, we will mark them out very, very, very good. We have some good players in our midfield, so it'll be a good contest there. Once we could shut down their midfield play, we think that we should be able to shut down that team.
Bishop said his players are treating Saturday's encounter as a grudge match since they are keen on toppling St. George's and taking the title of champions.
I'm very confident, and the guys, I think they're over the moon right now, playing more so, not just going to the finals, but playing St. George's. I think it will be kind of like a grudge match for them because they feel that they are one of the best team, if not the best team in Georgetown, football-wise, and coming up against St. George defending champions would be kind of like a prove yourself game for them.
Meanwhile, over at the National Park, the St. George's lads were busy sharpening their skills, despite their manager admitting that they are a bit behind in preparation.
However, these boys are very talented, they're highly skilled, and I know by time now on Saturday we'll put in that extra effort and we'll be able to make it, because we're very confident that we will be able to come out victorious on Saturday.
He said the temperament of his players is ideally suited to the big games, noting that they are prepared for whatever the Lodge boys throw at them.
We have a very good plan to counter whatever threat will be, coming to us. But we are not overconfident or, we're taking this game very seriously.
The final is slated for the Education Ministry ground on Carifesta Avenue. The competition is being sponsored by BPATS Trading under the Milo drink brand and organized by the Petra organization, led by Troy Mendonza and Marlon Cole.
Join us on the other side of the break for your project reports.
We believe that everything worth building should be built just once. That is why we build on culture, on trust, on integrity. We exist to do more, better, faster, safer. Your success depends on the foundation it's built on. Everything we do is meant to move you forward. Mark on. Let's build Guyana together.
Welcome back. It's now time for a look at your bridge reports. The Demerara Harbour Bridge will be closed at 500 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. The Berbice River Bridge will be closed on Friday, April 4 at 6 hours 40 for a period of 1.5 hours. That's your Thursday, April 3 edition of the Evening News. I'm Michael Young, thanking you very much for joining us. Goodbye.